Monday. Got Monday Night Football tonight.
Yeah, we do.
Full weekend of football this past weekend.
It was glorious, wasn't it?
It really was. Man, I can't believe the Giants got murdered that bad.
They did.
Trash.
They did.
Absolute
so
garbage.
bad.
Started off good.
Garbage.
Didn't end that way.
Absolute trash. We want to know what you guys think. We got call-ins today, 1-855-236-3228. Got a ton to get to, so let's get to it. Michigan State head coach Mel Tucker has been suspended without pay due to sexual harassment claims. The Cowboys demolished the Giants, and we're going to break down and unveil our college football power rankings following week 2. They make a lot of more sense now, don't they? I'm Jay Crane, and welcome to the greatest sports show of all time ever, Crane & Company. Now, beating Alabama in football is really hard in general, let alone going into Bryant-Denny and beating them while they're still being led by the GOAT, Nick Saban. But the toughest test for Texas football is still in front of them. And it's not the schedule, it's not any specific game, it's the mental side of winning big early. Because the only thing more dangerous to success than nobody believing in you is when everybody's patting you on the back and telling you how great you are. Now, as a coach, I was always more worried about guys not screwing up the next play after they just made a great play, not when they got beat. Everybody wants to come back when you get beat, and it's the same thing in this situation. Now, make no mistake, everybody involved in the Texas program and fan base should be very proud. They should be very happy. But their work isn't even close to done. They haven't done anything or won anything yet. And I guarantee you, Steve Sarkisian is not satisfied with just winning one big regular season game. He was brought to Texas to bring them back to prominence one step at a time. Now, the Longhorns have the personnel to win a championship, as we've outlined on this show since the offseason. We're one of the very few to actually believe in them. And the 24-hour rule goes both ways. Now, Texas does have a bad habit of losing games that they shouldn't. But if this team stays focused, big things could be on the horizon. Now, the most important thing to the team and coaching staff right now isn't how great beating Alabama on the road was, or that Texas is quote-unquote back. It's Wyoming this week. One rep, one play at a time. I'm going to go ahead and bring in my co-host David Cohn, former Michigan quarterback, and Achilles, my brother, former Western State, Colorado wide receiver.
Brad Pitt.
And, you know, guys, it's we always talk about complacency, and a lot of that is talked about during the offseason. When you lose a game and you're a wounded animal and your back's against the wall, like we saw Oregon at Texas Tech this past weekend, or we saw Utah at Baylor this past weekend, it's a lot easier to get up and be hungry and not be satisfied. But just like I said, coming off a great play, you've got to be able to move past the good things as well. Mm-hmm. And the 24-hour rule isn't just about sulking after a loss. It's about being able to bounce back after a win. This will tell us how mature this Texas team is, with the Wyoming team coming in this weekend that has nothing to lose.
What a great moment for Steve Sarkisian with everything he's been through out at Southern Cal. Look, you don't make it into the Nick Saban School of Rehabilitation unless you are a top-notch coach, right? Yeah. If Steve Sarkisian wasn't the type of coach who could go into Tuscaloosa and win, he would have never been hired as the offensive coordinator for Nick Saban in the first place. So what a great moment for him. And I love what you're talking about. I love that you're focusing on Wyoming, because when you look at this schedule, and like we talked about in the preseason, you're going to have 4 more teams from the state of Texas alone on the schedule. When you look at Baylor on the road, Houston on the road, TCU on the road, you get Texas Tech. That doesn't even mention you got to go through the Red River Shootout in Oklahoma and Kansas State. Forget about all that. You play Wyoming this week, and you have to take this 1 week at a time. And look, I mean, Texas showed that they're going to be more talented than most of the teams they're going to face off against in the season. But the talented team doesn't always win the football game, especially when most of the teams you're playing, it's your last year to play them because you're leaving the conference. You're still going to get everyone's best shot. So a great moment for Texas, but now it's going to be a long season.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about the target being on your back. You already had a target on your back because you're Texas. You're a humongous brand. But Blaine, what does this say And how big is this? Obviously, in general, it's a big win for Texas. But what kind of statement does this make with Texas going into the SEC next year?
Well, it makes a huge statement because you just took down one of the SEC big dogs, and you took them down at their place. The thing about the SEC, and we've always talked about this, we always gripe about this, it's not about the one-off wins against a big opponent. It's a week 6 going on the road to Arkansas on Saturday and going to play 1 o'clock. Right? It's going to Missouri at 6:30 at night and going to play those guys on the road. It's the week in, week out, just absolute just grunge and just terrible road to go down to as a football player in the SEC, but it's something you have to do. And Texas is somewhat going to get used to that this week. They're so, not this week, but this year, they're so high profile, right? The Wyomings of the world, the BYUs of the world, the Houstons of the world are going to save everything in the kitchen counter for you, right? So you're getting a little bit of that Alabama treatment. That's what Alabama gets. That's what Georgia gets. That's what the best get. This is good for Texas. They need to get used to this. You want this, and the great thing about it, you have an experienced coach, and you also have an experienced quarterback. I don't know if y'all noticed about Quinn, but Quinn lost 20+ pounds. Yeah, cut his hair. Probably going to church every Sunday. It looks like Quinn really buttoning up and is believing in the process of what you have to do to be an elite quarterback, and I think it shows on Saturdays.
Well, that's part of the maturation process, too. I mean, one drive early for Texas, he was able to scramble to extend the drive on a 3rd down. Those little things all add up to big things. I do really quickly promise that I'd read a couple receipts after the Texas prediction, so I want to get this out of the way. My guy on X, if you're on Twitter, X, whatever it's called this week, make sure you're throwing us a follow. Just going to read a couple of these. 5'11", and this is with love. This is with all love.
Nothing but hate.
Unless you want to.
Nothing but hate.
Nothing but hate. Yeah. 5'11", my day said, Bama covers 35-17, and my boy Jake Crane, you sure that was your gut, or was it just gas? Well, I can go ahead and tell you a story about the time I was right, my friend. It wasn't gas. That was after. And then one that was very, very near and dear to my heart, basically, Scott, Papa Top Scott.
Papa Top.
Papa Top Scott.
What a name.
When I was explaining why I thought Texas was going to win, I said they struggled a little bit against Rice because I think they held a lot back. He said, you lost me at they struggled against Rice. They allowed 458 yards a game last year on average, but will do much better against Alabama. Hard to take you seriously after that. Well, Scott, it's hard to ever take you seriously now.
Papa Top, Scott.
How about you Papa Top and drink a cold glass of shut the hell up, you're wrong. So before we move on, I do want to get into the power rankings that we unveil each week. And we caught some hell. We caught some hell for having Texas in front of Alabama because we do our power rankings a little bit different. We're not going to punish Michigan and some of these other teams for walloping teams that they should wallop. Right? It's again, you have to understand how each week goes, how each team prepares, and what they're going to show. But before we do that, we all know football's back in full swing after another week of epic games. And who's got you covered on the action for every single one of them? That's DraftKings Sportsbook. All right? Let's all grow up and be adults here. It's the best sportsbook around. They're the official sports betting partner of the NFL, and new customers can bet just $5 on football and get $200 instantly in bonus bets. Nobody's missing out on the action all season because all DraftKings customers, new or not, can take advantage of 2 new offers every game day this September. Want to thank the Eagles for holding on, thank goodness, so I could finish the last leg of my parlay. I wonder how many people the Giants screwed over last night, but I'm sure we're going to get into that. But we all know life's more fun when you're in on the action. So download the DraftKings Sportsbook app right now and use code BOOSTER. That's BOOSTER, because new customers can score that $200 in bonus bets instantly when they bet just $5 on NFL football. That's only on DraftKings Sportsbook with our code BOOSTER. The crown is yours. Also, we're going to drop our link in to grab some Crane & Company merch. Make sure you get that. We want to restock everything in there. So if you haven't grabbed some merch, if they don't have the size that you need, let us know, and we can get that put in there as well. But we got some really good ideas we've been cooking up in the lab. But let's get to the Booster Club real quick.
All right, let's go to Blaine's Mustache Scooter with a $5 donation.
Blaine's Mustache Scooter.
I need my Scooter to get one sooner or later. Good morning, guys. Good morning to you, Scooter. Week 2 was a wake-up call for some SEC teams. You think the teams that struggled can get dialed in before SEC play?
Yeah, I mean, look, SEC play, conference play and conference play in general, really has a way of dialing you in. It's for some teams, it's a continuation of what's been a great season so far. You don't want to screw it up. And for other teams, It is a second season. It's a new life, right? Like, again, I'll use Texas Tech as an example. Yeah, you lost to Wyoming. Yeah, you lost to Oregon. Neither one of those are in your conference. You want to go win a championship, everything's still in front of you. So, look, football is a marathon, not a sprint. We see how teams go up and down each week. The goal is to get a little bit better each week. And now that you're getting into conference play, guys get a little more juiced up. Guys get a little more amped up. So, yeah, you're going to have some teams that are able to figure it out. But you got to understand the difference. Some team, if you don't have good enough players, there's only so much you can do.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you have to, that's why I said the difference between South Carolina fans being upset after the way they played against North Carolina and LSU fans being upset after the way LSU played against Florida State. Well, I'll bet my bottom dollar, little orphan Annie, that LSU can fix it before South Carolina, because unless Shane Beamer knows voodoo or magic, you can't make that personnel a lot better. And if your answer to making the personnel better is to replace the personnel with young guys who weren't even starting in front of that personnel before, you're still going to take your lumps, even though it may help you in the long run. So you have to understand the difference between having personnel that can actually fix it, because I can sit here and call the right play. I can put together the best practice script of all time. We can put the fun back in fundamentals and do all that jazz. But eventually, science, physics, and God takes over.
Yeah.
And there's only so much you can do.
Yeah.
Let's go to Owen Donahue with the $2 donation. Owen, thank you, sir.
Thanks, Hope.
This morning, fellas. Good morning to you. He says, thoughts on Denver and the AFC West.
Well,
there was such a Denver and Raiders game.
that was the most.
really
Denver
was.
and Raiders game.
But by the way, Jacoby Myers, please cut your hair, man. As somebody who has Devontae Adams on his fantasy team, y'all can't both be having dreads looking like that. Wearing 17 and winning 16.
Jacoby got blasted.
He got blasted, but he blasted the Broncos.
No, he played. No, phenomenal game.
He was dominant. And for a second, when Jimmy G went out of the game early, and
Favre?
and Aiden came in,
the first play.
and Aiden came in, I was getting some serious.
At first, I was like, I couldn't.
Tom Brady
take it
taking
serious.
over for. I'm not trying to compare Aiden O'Connell to Tom Brady, but like I was like,
The old
uh-oh.
Drew Bledsoe situation.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Also, speaking of Favre, did you see C.J. Stroud? First pass he completed was to himself. Only other quarterback to ever do that
Was Brett Favre.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I saw a lot of Michigan fans pointing out that C.J. Stroud lost to a Harbaugh for the third straight year.
Well,
just,
yeah. Look, I mean, you look at the Texans. The Texans hung around a lot longer than what I thought. Believe me, I picked the Ravens in my survival league. Denver, look,
The Broncos,
no
good.
Jerry Jeudy. They looked a lot more organized than it was last year. I know there was a stretch where I feel like they lost 6 yards every single play.
The process looked a lot cleaner.
Russell, I don't know if we're going to get vintage Russell Wilson with the Seahawks being able to do what he did. I think it's kind of a different flavor ice cream they got out there in Denver. But Denver did look a little bit more in control and had somewhat of an identity. It was a tight game. It was a nice win by the Raiders. It was a game that went back and forth. It was a very physical game. But as a Broncos fan, I wouldn't be too upset. I would be about close to as happy as I could be after a loss, which you never want to be happy after a loss. But when you look at the AFC West, man, I mean,
God, that
I'm not worried about the Chiefs, okay?
But like for Denver, you got to figure out a way to beat the Raiders at home because
you
the
do.
schedule's
You
so
do.
tough down the stretch.
I agree with
now,
that.
I get it that look, this is Sean Payton's first game. You're playing for the future here as a Broncos fan, but still, you got to get a win there because the schedule's only going to get tougher. They have one of the tougher.
Well, the thing about like if you're healthy now, right? You haven't been healthy.
Jerry Jeudy was
your
out.
offense. Well, yeah. Well, I'm talking about like guys that not a guy's hurt every other week in Jerry Jeudy, but like actually like your offensive line, you got two of them back. I mean, Bowles got
Thought Javonte looked good.
broke his Javonte Williams came back. Your defense, Surtain looked good.
Yeah.
Like Surtain looked good. Simmons looked good. Like you got the fundamentals and the foundation of a great team. It's just going to take some time.
Yeah, so the Raiders are the only team in the AFC.
Dude, that Chargers-Dolphins game.
That one, yeah, we'll
I
get.
told you that over is going to hit.
Well, I mean, it's just one of those games early in week one, and you saw that in the first slate of the weekend. Everybody was sloppy. It was like the first, I was watching Red Zone, which my mother-in-law was like, I don't understand how you watch this because it keeps bouncing around. I was like, well, you don't
That's
need
the
to
point.
understand it.
Jacoby Myers proved to be a good pickup, though.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, I
9
told you, Jacoby
receptions.
was good at the Pats.
Yeah.
I mean, speaking of a crazy game. All right, let's stay in the Boots Club.
Let's go to Chris Walton with a $5 donation. Chris, thank you, sir. So it's for Alabama fans. Are y'all still rebuilding or not? Because that's what you've been telling UGA fans for 2 seasons. What's the excuse this time? CNC are the GOATs.
Yeah.
Bah.
Well, number one, you're exactly right, especially on that end note. Here's the thing with the Alabama offense. You know what it really looked like? And I told y'all this. We talked about this on the recap yesterday. Looked a whole hell of a lot like Gus Malzahn's 2013 offense with Nick Marshall, the way they were running it. But to me, you've got to make a choice with Jalen Milroe. And it may be we can't just line up and play murder ball and keep him in the pocket and run a pro-style system. Maybe it does need to be a little bit, hey, look, we're going to be heavy zone read. We're going to be RPO. I feel like they're trying to give Jalen Milroe the whole Waffle House menu when he just wants to go in there and get the All-Star Special. Let him get the All-Star Special. You can get those hash brown smothers, covered, blubbered,
Heinz 57.
lovered. All that stuff.
In that analogy, the All-Star Special is getting him on the move.
That's
I was
exactly right.
shocked at how often they were putting him with 3- and 5-step drops in the pocket.
It's not
in the pocket. I'm like, why are we not getting this guy out on the perimeter?
David,
so he can have the option to pull it down.
How many times, and you can see this, you can see it in hitters in baseball, when they just make their mind up they're going to swing the pitch. Jalen Milroe was making his mind up where he's going to throw the ball before the ball was snapped. That's why you stare guys down. You don't just stare guys down randomly. You stare guys down because you're predicating where you're going to throw before the ball is snapped. How do you throw into a squatting corner? Twice? Because when that play's called, you're thinking to yourself, I'm throwing it over here. And people say, oh, how did you not see that? How did you not see that? It's because you didn't want to see it. That's why. And when you make your mind up that you're going to swing at a pitch in baseball, or that you're going to shoot a shot in basketball from a certain spot, which is a little bit different regardless of the defense. It's not going to be the best shot probably. Or you make your mind up where you're going to throw the ball before the ball is snapped. It's probably not going to turn out good. And it didn't. But speaking about turning out good, let's hop in these power rankings here, Coney.
I love it. All right, Georgia and Michigan don't move 1, 2. Actually, our first 4 didn't move. Georgia, Michigan, Florida State, and Texas, which people kind of thought we were crazy to have Texas up that high.
Yeah. As Major Payne would say,
He's
who's
the
the dummy now? Yeah, and there's, look, I see, here's the problem that I think some guys get in sports media when they're projecting this. They say, oh, well, Georgia hasn't looked just, they haven't won 100-7 in the first 2 games, or Michigan's not winning 348-7. So we're just going to, and we haven't seen them against a Texas, Alabama, or somebody like that. So we're just going to move them down. They're winning the way that the teams win. If you understand how games get called and how you game plan, and you are looking ahead as a play caller, sometimes taking it at face value and looking at the score and saying, oh, well, they were only up on Ball State 24-0 at half. They must suck. That's not how this game works, right? That's a very casual way to look at it. That's why you had some people last week saying, oh, well, Texas didn't beat Rice by 1,000 points, so Texas is going to get murdered by Alabama. Well, guess what? Rice just beat Houston at home, and if you watch that game and you understand how plays get called and game plans get made, then you realize that Texas held a lot back. You want to know why Sark got in his bag super duper early? Because he didn't show anything the week before. It's a marathon, not a sprint. So don't get fooled into thinking that. But David, we have no reason, and Blaine, we have no reason to move Georgia and Michigan down.
Yeah, and look, I'm all for rewarding teams who schedule tough non-conference games early in the season. I'm all for that. But at the same time, you don't want to get into this point where you're just overreacting every week. I'll give you a good example. Last year, when Tennessee beat Alabama at home after that game, and Tennessee had a couple big wins, and then they went on the road, blew out LSU. We were saying, man, really Tennessee deserves to be up in that number 1 spot. And it was the very next week they go on the road and play Georgia. And, Georgia really suffocated them that entire game. Now, granted, you're playing the defending national championship on the road, between the hedges, but still, that was an example where, hey, Georgia didn't even get their say yet in one of those big-time games, and they go undefeated and they're back-to-back national champions. So that's my thing here is like, look, Florida State's gotten rewarded for beating LSU. Texas has been rewarded now for beating Alabama. So it's the back half of this where we kind of had some more discussions. Moving Oregon up to 5. How do you feel about that after a close game on the road at Texas Tech?
Well, you had to fight a wounded animal that was backed in the corner. Same thing with Utah going to Baylor. Like, again, it's different. Going back to the point we were making before, Blaine, if Georgia was playing Florida State last week, it'll look a whole hell of a lot different than it did against Ball State.
Yeah.
You're dealing with human beings. Ask Nick Saban and Kirby Smart, any of the top coaches in the country. You can probably get your guys up to play at their best 4, maybe 5 times a year. Maybe that amount. The hardest part is getting through those other games maybe when you're not playing your best. Not that you're not excited to play, or not that you don't want to play good, but if everybody played how they wanted to play, nobody would ever play bad. It's just not how it works in this game. It's a lot easier to get guys to narrow focus and take care of the little things when you are playing LSU week 1 if you're Florida State, when you are playing Alabama week 2 if you're Texas. So when I look at Oregon going on the road to Texas Tech, tough place to play, and Blaine, this is a game that I had picked Texas Tech to win, and I thought they were going to drive down and kick a field goal.
Yeah.
You know, and look,
I did too for that pick.
It's funny, Oregon beat Portland State 1,000-7 the first week, and then Portland State, I'm trying to remember who they played this week. It was a decent team that played decent week 1, and they were in it for a while. So it just goes to show you. But Oregon, that's a big win on the road. That's a gut win. That's a gutsy win. That's a drop the pelotas win. And when you got to go get one, sometimes you just got to survive.
Yeah.
Like Auburn at Cal.
Look, a win's a win.
A win's a win.
At the end of the day, like if you keep winning, you're gonna stay where you are. But there's a level of reward that comes with playing ranked teams early in the year. It's just the amount of level of reward that you get, right? Because like right now, like y'all don't think USC's a top 10 team, or you could
got them at 11.
You got them at 11. Okay, I'm fair with that. I don't think Utah should be hurt. Utah's gone 2-0 with the backup.
No, but with a backup to the backup.
Yeah. Right? You're calling someone's cousin to come play for you.
The assistant to the assistant regional manager.
So I agree with this because like styles make fights at the end of the day. Like you really like Georgia right now, like you know what Georgia is, but you don't know what level Georgia is this year after watching Georgia from last year with Carson Beck. Michigan, I think Michigan has the best roster in football.
Michigan looked good this week.
Yeah, I think
J.J.
Michigan has the
McCarthy
best roster in
taken
football.
that next step, man.
But I don't think they should be the number 1 team in the nation.
Yeah. So what's funny here is that our 1 through 5, we have a team from each of the Power 5 conferences. And 6 is Notre Dame as an independent,
right?
And Notre Dame climbed the highest. I think they started at 15 for us. Then we moved them to 10 last week. Now they're all the way up to 6. Again, they're kind of one of those teams where it's like, no, they haven't played great competition, but they did go on the road to NC State.
Yeah.
They have a little bit larger sample size because they played in that week 0, and they just flat out look.
How much does the eye test matter?
To me, it matters. I mean, we're this early in the season. You know, I'm just going off we only have a couple games to go off of.
For sure. Well, you keep getting data points and you keep getting information. The thing that I saw about Notre Dame that I liked, and I think they did catch a break with that lightning delay and being able to go back and reset because NC State was kicking their ass up front at the beginning of that game. But what happened when Notre Dame came back out? First play, Estime hits them for 75 yards. And then every time NC State would get close, Notre Dame would make a big-time play. I think their skill guys, obviously outside of Sam Hartman, are going to keep maturing because they're young on the outside. But what I like about Notre Dame is that defense flies around and is overtly physical. Number 8.
And they're athletic.
Number 8 looks like Palomalu out there running around destroying people.
The thing with Notre Dame, they always have the hog mollies, the big guys up front. They can get you going north and south. But they can't. Can they keep up with you in the perimeter?
And they
have the speed.
Yeah.
The Notre Dame defense I'm watching this year are running with guys.
They're lateral. They can play lateral.
And that's dangerous. When you walk into a Notre Dame team that can push you north and south and run east and west, like that's the Notre Dame team. That's why Brian Kelly left, because he couldn't find the guys to run at LSU. But now you're starting to see guys at Notre Dame who can run.
Well, Marcus Freeman's elevated their recruiting too.
100%.
So we have Oregon at 5, Notre Dame at 6, Ohio State at 7. David, you want to talk about them?
Well, this is where it gets interesting because we're talking about not punishing or rewarding teams for beating lesser competition by 30-something points. But at the same time, if we're talking about applying the eye test, the Buckeyes do not look. And I said this last year after they lost. Would they lose to Oregon? Was it Oregon or was it the year before? Early in the season, these Buckeyes teams don't look like how they used to, where they're just absolutely playing efficient football, no mistakes. And part of that's, you're trying out a new quarterback in the last 4 I think you've had have all been Heisman Trophy finalists. So there's just a certain level of maturity that needs to come with playing a new quarterback. And Marvin Harrison Jr. did have a huge game.
Oh, he definitely is running wide open.
But that's an example where it's like, okay, are the Buckeyes, are they just beating teams by 30 points here early in the season because they're not showing much and they're just trying to get Kyle McCord and, familiar with the offense, and they're, when they play Notre Dame on the road or something like that, that's their coming out party? Or are there underlying issues here that we won't see exposed until they go play a team like Michigan, like they were at home last year?
Well, we would be contradicting ourselves if we had Ohio State at like 3 and then dropped them to 7. I think we had them at 6 last week?
Yeah,
they're about the same. So we got Penn State at 8. Like what we've seen from Drew Aller, need to keep seeing it. We'll know they got a tough one going to Illinois this next week. That's not going to be a walk in the park with the way that Illinois played, especially losing last week. Then you got Utah at number 9, like we said. Kept them about the same. They're winning with a backup quarterback. Went and played a wounded animal and one-punch man over there at Baylor. And then Washington, slapped around Tulsa. But I know they've kind of gotten off to somewhat of a slow start the past couple weeks. You saw Boise run with UCF last week. So that big win over Boise is looking better and better. So we got Washington 10. We say USC.
USC and Oklahoma getting votes. One more thing on the Buckeyes there at 7. They're going to play 3 of these teams. Notre Dame at 6, Penn State at 8, and Michigan at 2. But we had USC. We were talking about USC or Oklahoma or Washington, like who needs to be that 10th team. We all had a different opinion on it. And then that also begs the question of where does Alabama fall to? How far do they fall after that loss? Because they have to be right in that range. Right?
Yeah, that means
100%.
Yeah, you don't drop them off a cliff, but I mean we got them outside of right now. If Alabama played Oklahoma on a neutral field, I think it would be tight. If Alabama played USC on a neutral field, I think there'd be a lot of points scored in that game. So again, it's not quitting on Alabama. They can still do some big time things, but you right now compared to the rest of those teams, Alabama's outside the top 10. But let's go ahead and get into right or wrong before we get back to the Booster Club.
All right, who wants to start?
You want to start, Mike?
I can start. Yeah, it's not much different for me on the right section this week. I'm going back to Colorado. How many times do we have to keep doing that? Huh? I was the only one to pick them in our Saturday special.
That is true.
I believe for the second week in a row. They're here, man. They're starting to give me TCU vibes from last year.
Oh,
that's what they're starting to give me.
Stop it.
What was TCU? It was a good quarterback, talented receivers, a talented running back. You're up front. You were good. I would say TCU was better up front on the offensive line than Colorado. But a defense that would make plays at the right time, would give up huge plays on the ground, would give up huge plays in general, but would find ways to win games. And right now...
So you think Colorado's going to play the national championship?
No, that's not what I'm saying.
Well, that's where TCU
I'm getting somewhat of a resemblance, somewhat of the same feel right now as that TCU from last year. I still think Colorado's ceiling's maybe 9 games. I'd push it up 1 at this point, just the way they played, the way they utterly dominated Nebraska. And I'm not surprised by this with Sims with Nebraska. There's a lot of problems at Nebraska right now on the offensive side of the ball. It's not going to get fixed anytime soon. I'm saying that's my right. Colorado sitting here again. They're for real, boys.
It's funny. I didn't watch that game and see utter domination, even though the score reflected that. It was just these big, crucial moments where Jeff Sims completely turned the football.
The first quarter and a half of that game was
it was really solid. But you got a Colorado team here that played a TCU team that's atrocious on defense, a Nebraska team that's atrocious on offense, and still found a way to win because they're not turning the football over. Yeah. That's what's the most impressive thing to me. And like I said yesterday, Shedeur Sanders is not just some athlete back there at the quarterback position. He is a serious quarterback. Makes the right decision at all time. The football IQ is off the charts. And another thing that we didn't see in week 1 that we did see in week 2, I already talked about all the accuracy and the identification of man coverage, all that. Another thing in week 2, drawing the defense off sides in critical moment. That starts at the quarterback. 3rd and 5, 4th and 3. He's getting them to jump off sides to get those easy first downs. That's high IQ football.
No, without a doubt. And if Shedeur Sanders keeps playing like this, it's going to come down to him or Caleb Williams for the Heisman. In my opinion.
If they win enough games.
If they win enough games. One of them's not. So, Colorado, eventually you're going to run into a team that is just so much better than you. Like, whatever the over-under for the Colorado USC game is going to be absolutely insane. But you got Oregon, a team that's overtly physical. I mean, you look at the Pac-12 right now. I mean, hell, Arizona gave Mississippi State a fight. Cal gave Auburn a fight. Washington State's a really good football team with Cameron Ward out there. The Pac-12, in its last year, in the greatest stroke of irony of all time, is unbelievably good. But like Shedeur Sanders he isn't some guy that was just an athlete running around that's still very raw. He is a quarterback.
Yes.
And the throws he's making off platforms, but more importantly, like you said, the decisions that he's making are Heisman winning decisions.
Yes.
And I mean, Jimmy Horn, Xavier Weaver, the kid
Edwards
kid at running back, Travis Hunter, obviously. You have weapons where you can go out and put up a lot of crooked numbers against a lot of teams. The question I have about Colorado is, because Nebraska's awful at the quarterback position. I'm not going to call them an awful team because 2 weeks in a row, they've played their ass off defensively.
Yeah, they did.
And their defense has given them a chance to win. But at some point, Jeff Sims cannot play quarterback anymore.
Just for the morale of the team.
Well, how can you sit here and talk about the best player's going to play and the guy and look, there's a lot of reasons you lose games. Very rarely is it on one player. A lot of what's going on is Jeff Sims' fault. Let's just be honest. When you can't catch a snap consistently, when you're making the decisions that he's making, you saw late against Minnesota and against Colorado, you can't justify saying, I'm going to play the players that give us the best chance to win and keep letting this guy go out here and blow it. I mean, it's the truth.
One more thing on Shedeur Sanders. One thing that will keep him in the Heisman race, too, is a good thing for that, but a bad thing for Colorado football is they can't really run the ball.
Yeah.
So he has to throw it a lot. Yeah, so, I mean, he has to throw the football a lot, so he's going to rack up yardage, but yardage isn't enough. You have to also have a high completion percentage. I think he's at 77 right now. Ridiculous.
He's got
you also have to have a high touchdown to interception ratio. Well, he hasn't even thrown a pick yet.
Yeah.
So all of those things are going to keep him in the Heisman race. Does their lack of a run game and really their inability to stop the run, is that going to lose them enough football games where it moves him out of the Heisman race?
No, it's interesting games. Real quick, I was just going to say, and I've said this on the Saturday special, the reason Nebraska's going to lose this game, that's why I felt bad saying it to Coach Collins.
Me too.
Because he coached at Georgia Tech. I was like, look, Jeff Sims is going to be a liability in this game for probably 4 quarters. And he's like, well, I coach Jeff. I was like, all right.
Yeah, Walter Mitty puts Jeff Sims into the computer. No, can't.
And he made some big plays. He made some big throws. It's not like he can't throw the ball. It was at the worst time.
Big mistakes.
At the worst possible time.
But we have a saying on the show, if somebody keeps showing you who they are, eventually you have to believe him.
Yeah.
He showed you who he was at Georgia Tech. Now he's showing you who he was at Nebraska. At some point, you got to believe him. And I know they don't have greatness behind him, but at some point, you preach accountability. You got to be accountable as a coach.
What were you right about?
Look, I can sit here and talk about Texas. Okay, but we've talked about that. We know that. It was a hell of a game. I mean, that fourth quarter. I mean, almost 30 points scored in the fourth quarter. We talked about it a bunch on the recap. I'm going to go Notre Dame. My 2 favorite bets on the board was Rutgers -9 that ended up covering, and I thought Notre Dame would be able to lean on NC State over time. The gravity effect, right? NC State came out juiced up, punched above their weight up front. I watched them play against UConn, talking about NC State. UConn was able to run the ball on them very easily in an offense that UConn's going to have to run the ball in. So looking at Notre Dame's offensive line, but I was very impressed with the tight ends for Notre Dame. And, I know they stay with the tight end. You go back to Mary, you go through this, but the way they used them, NC State was selling out to stop the run. They were selling out to stop the run. And when you do that sometimes, a lot of people think, and they're right, oh, well, if you're going to man up on the outside or you're going to fill the box up even against heavier personnel, that creates those one-on-one matchups outside. You're going to kill people outside. And sometimes you do. But other times, those guys on the interior, especially in 11 and 12 personnel, when you got 1 or 2 tight ends out there, those linebackers and those safeties' eyes, they know they're having to stop the run. So when they get that run action, any type of play action, you see it off split zone, you see it off bluff, you can really hurt people with tight ends because those safeties and linebackers go running up to stop the run, and they're the ones that have to cover the tight ends. The corners are in man. They know they have to cover the receivers. They're not even really worried about stopping the run. Now, you have a difference between zone eyes and man eyes at corner, but it's those linebackers, it's those nickels, it's those safeties that have to cover those tight ends on those angles that get caught in the trash in the box, and the tight end's able to hurt you. So the run game from Notre Dame was good. It wasn't elite outside of a couple plays, but it was good enough to set up the play action game to the tight ends in the box. You had the angles to the outside. They were able to score touchdowns. That's how Notre Dame was really able to hurt NC State with big plays. So I was right about Texas and then Notre Dame being able to dominate.
I'm buying Notre Dame stock, man. I really like what I'm seeing. I was right about the Miami and Texas A&M game mattering and being a great football game. Now, I thought Texas A&M would go on the road and win the game because they're a little bit farther ahead of where Mario Cristobal is at Miami. And a year ago, this was a cool matchup out in College Station just because it's a non-conference game that we don't really get to see that often with two big brands. But the football game really didn't matter. There weren't great football teams last year. But this year, I thought Miami would fight hard, and they did. And this game, this proved to be not only a really great football game, but I think it's going to matter throughout the season because Miami, Tyler Van Dyke had a coming out party, 374 yards passing, 5 touchdowns, no interceptions. You look around the landscape of the ACC now, the Miami-Florida State game, it's going to be the Miami-Florida State game of when I was growing up, where you circle it throughout the season. And then Clemson comes to Miami. That's another one. Like, let's see what happens there. But then on the Texas A&M side, like, last year when we saw these Texas A&M losses, it said more about them, right? But now, Connor Wegman is your guy. Like, Connor Wegman is a really great quarterback.
Yeah.
He threw for over 300 yards, multiple touchdowns. One of those interceptions, the wide receiver fell down. Connor Wegman put the football right where it needed to be. I really, for the first time with a Texas A&M loss, I really don't think the Aggies should panic because you got Texas A&M, LSU, and Alabama all in the SEC West right now, each with a loss, but all of those losses are non-conference. The SEC West is still wide open. Texas A&M can still go play really solid football. Now, some of the physicality late, like we talked about with that safety coming over and just refusing to hit Miami wide receivers and just clean them out on the sidelines, that to me is unacceptable. That mentality is not really something you can fix in the middle of the season, whereas when we were talking about with LSU, as long as you have the right personnel, you can get them in the right spots throughout the year. Let's see if Texas A&M finds that sort of that dog in them or if they fold up. But still, I thought it was a great football game. Texas A&M, everything they want is still out in front of them. And Miami, maybe they're not a year away. Maybe this is the year for Miami.
Well, I thought it said a lot about Miami, the way they answered. A&M comes out, gets a 3-and-out, blocks the punt, gets the ball inside the 20, and goes and scores. And from there on out, it just felt like Miami, was able to kind of claw back, and then they just took off. I'll say this. I think Miami's offensive line, I know they're young, but, man, they're talented. They get their hands on you. I mean, it's that left tackle kid, that freshman they talked about. I get it. I 100% get it. But I was surprised at Miami's success in the pass game. You saw what Tyler Van Dyke did. He looked healthy. I think a lot of things went right. I think A&M kind of expected it to be more of a ground and pound type of game, and they were a little bit surprised that they were having to pass rush so much. But you still have to adjust. But I agree with you 100%. There's been times in the past where I've watched Texas A&M lose a game and be like, they need to be worried. They do need to be worried. And it's not that you're happy after a loss, like I said earlier. That's not it. But I saw on the chat when we did the Sunday recap and then some on Twitter where people, Bobby Petrino and Jimbo Fisher, there's a problem. Look, the offense wasn't perfect, wasn't elite, but the offense played good enough, in my opinion, to win the game. It was the defense and the inability to stop play action, the inability to understand that Restrepo is literally shoving you in a locker in front of the cheerleaders and everybody in the high school, and you may need to put somebody on them. They couldn't stop them when they put somebody on them. But no, I think it may say more about Miami than it may say about Texas A&M. And if you're A&M, greatest part about playing in the SEC is you get Bama at home in a couple weeks.
Yep.
You want to talk about totally just turning the tide?
Totally redeeming yourself.
Go beat Bama. But where were you wrong?
All right, I'll kick it back around the corner here. I was wrong about the New York Football Giants. I mean, Brian Daboll is a great football coach, and that's why I've been so big on the Giants, not because of Daniel Jones, not just because they have Saquon Barkley and a great running back. I really like Brian Daboll, but last night's performance, you losing 40-0 to the Cowboys at home, a divisional matchup, like that to me is unacceptable. And it looked good early, the first drive. I mean, they're moving the ball, they're running the ball, they get a false start penalty that moves them back, so you have to try for a field goal attempt. That gets blocked, the Cowboys take it to the house, and from there it was just like turning on a water faucet. I mean, it was over. 7 sacks. I think, for the Dallas defense. You're talking about Milroe looking like a deer caught in headlights with that pass rush from Texas. That's what Daniel Jones looked like.
Got paid.
The Cowboys, and maybe this will end up saying more about the Cowboys than it does the Giants. Maybe they really did put the NFL on notice last night, and their defense is just that good, and they're going to get the type of play from Dak Prescott that they need to be a solid football team. But to me, right now, the Giants unacceptable. And really, a lot of those quarterbacks who got paid, Joe Burrow just got made the highest paid quarterback. Where was he? He didn't even play football on Sunday. Lamar Jackson got the bag thrown at him. Yeah. Didn't play good football. Daniel Jones got paid. So a lot of those guys. But the Giants are going to need to figure out something because 40-0 at home, that's not going to come.
Unacceptable. I was wrong about Ole Miss being able to have a ton of success running the ball against Tulane. You know, Tulane, Michael Pratt ends up not playing. Shocked me. I had no idea. And then find out he's not playing. You think, oh, well, now Ole Miss is really just going to lean on him. That this should be ugly. No, Ole Miss didn't end up covering, right? They didn't end up pulling away in the end. I thought the Horton kid, and look, he's not a freshman that was going in there playing his first game. He has experience. This isn't some no-name guy. Played last year, has had success. He's an older guy with experience. Ended up going 15-37. Wasn't the best, but he did have some moments they were in the game. But Ole Miss wasn't able to line up and run the ball at Tulane, a team that's not great against the run. You have 35 carries for 89 yards and 1 touchdown. Quinshad Judkins had 18 carries for under 50 yards. Your longest run was 20 yards. On the other hand, Tulane had 45 rushes, 111 yards. The Mekhi Hughes kid, who runs unbelievably hard for his size, had 23 carries, 92 yards, and a touchdown. I was just very surprised, and I know Tulane was up to play that game, but Ole Miss should have been up to play that game. They knew what they were getting into. When you watch that tape and you watch the team before that still had some guys returning, especially on that offensive line and at quarterback, that beat USC, that did the things that Tulane did to win 12 games last year. I thought Tulane pushed them around for a lot of that game up front. I was very surprised because I thought, especially after that first drive, when Ole Miss went right down the field,
I was like that.
Yeah, I was like, yep, smells about how I thought. And no, Tulane punched them back.
Yeah, I was surprised when Pratt didn't play.
Yeah.
Like, as a guy, I had Ole Miss as a lock for the week. Pratt didn't play. I was like, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
You're like, no.
My wrong's going to be Alabama. And I think I go back and look at it, maybe just Nick Saban and this Alabama team has programmed me since 2008 just to see them dominate everybody who comes out of the SEC and plays them. I remember all the hype. You remember when they played USC? I think it was an opener.
Oh, and just smacked them?
And just USC
like Florida State,
on all fours.
Michigan. They played
coming out of the tunnel.
Remember Miami?
And just Bama just absolutely smacked them. You know how many sacks Bama had against Texas?
Don't say zero.
Zero.
Wow.
Can you remember, like, and I'll say this again, what surprises me more is not the quarterback play. Like, I've seen quarterbacks play like this for Bama, and I've seen them go 13-0. What surprises me about Alabama now, all right, is that a kid like that from Texas can sit back there the whole game against Nick Saban's Alabama Crimson Tide in a white jersey and walk off that field in a perfectly white jersey.
Yeah.
I think a lot of it was game planning. Sark started with the quick game
Sark
to nullify that. Quick game, and then that set up what? Shot after shot.
But it used to not matter.
Taking shot after shot, and they still couldn't get to
it. It used to not matter.
That is
so
true.
Mike Tyson theory, everyone has a plan to get punched in the face.
Well, again, what have we said? What is the difference in Alabama now compared to then? They don't have a monopoly on the offensive line and the defensive line.
Sure.
When Alabama was dominating, the skill position always matters, but they could bake a cake 35 different ways and still run through you up front. On the offense line, at any point in time, they could line up and say, you know what? I'm just going to run it.
Yeah.
Like, there's a reason, like Jake Coker and McElroy and all those guys at any point in time. Hey, downside HUD, I can run it. You can't stop the run. Oh, wait, the only way you can stop the run is to load the box, and we have Julio Jones outside. So, and then defensively, oh, you're a running team? Okay, you're dead. Oh, you're a throwing team?
I'm talking about
congrats,
kill.
you're dead.
Kill.
Oh, you're both? You're double dead.
Kill. Used to kill.
Dude, you remember Marcel? I saw Marcel Darius on the sideline, and my back hurt.
It didn't matter. Like, when your worst player in the secondary is Mark Barron, Like, it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
like,
they
there's
don't
not,
have a
there's
monopoly
not a,
on
hey, we're
college
going to
football
open it up with a quick game. It's hike. Yeah, that's what it
Did
is.
you hear what Gito said when Aaron
Yeah,
Donald
oh
chased
my
him?
God.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
I love when they're like, I'll tell you what surprises me most about this Alabama team, and this is what proves that it's more than just personnel, is the penalties. Because now it's become habitual, right?
Yeah.
Like last year, you're getting penalized 15 times at Texas. Oh, okay, it's a road game, whatever. You're getting penalized that many times at Tennessee when you play them. Oh, okay, big game, road game. Double-digit penalties again in Tuscaloosa this year. You were more penalized than Texas was.
Couldn't snap the ball,
How's that
David.
happening? Why is the football on the ground? Why is the football on the ground?
Why can't
from
you
start?
snap the
That's
ball?
what I don't understand.
You know what we
some of those things weren't
We
the
should
center's
coach 'em.
problem.
We should coach them.
Yeah, I already saw. I saw the.
I'm not following Nick Saban.
Nick wants the ball on the ground.
Did y'all see the petition they got started to get Nick Saban fired?
No.
Yeah.
All 7
This is
people
how you
signed.
know.
Yeah.
This is how you.
It's
know.
like all of a sudden they're
you just
disappeared,
can't be
like
happy.
they're gone.
You can't be
It's
happy.
like running an engine on water.
No, it's like everybody that signed that, like there's missing posters around town with like their face
Yeah,
on it.
you're
They're like,
dead.
Lance just wanted to get Coach Saban fired. Now nobody's talked to him for 3 days.
What do
you know
you-
that island?
what do you
in
think
Samson
happened?
SWAT?
Hey, he's like-
Lance is tied to a palm.
There's a
tree.
big owl
What do you
on
think
an
happened?
island out
What do you think
there.
happened to him? You know.
Yeah.
You know
What do you think happened? Nick's like, we have a code 11.
Yeah.
All right, before we get back to the Booster Club, we got an NFL recap too, and calls. Remember, 1-855-236-3228. Let us know. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you hit that like button. But, okay, when you have a great product,
Tell them.
like we've seen some universities on the gridiron this past weekend, you need a great company to help sell it, which is why you need Shopify. Hit that noise, David. Dollar bills, y'all. The all-in-one commerce platform for starting, running, and growing your business. They make it easy to sell to anyone from anywhere. You have all the resources and tools available for a large business available to you right now. I always get asked for people that start podcasts and things like that, trying to get out of the mud. There's so much going on. I want to sell merch. I want to do this. And you're all excited at first. And then just like when you're starting a business like that, you're going to put in a shopping mall. Like you're like, oh, there's so much that I have to do. It's overwhelming. This is where Shopify comes in. They're able to make it easy. We always say work smarter, not harder. This isn't 1951 anymore, okay? You don't have to go in there and just start getting a bunch of wood and carve out a store. Let Shopify help you. You can customize your online store to your brand, discover new customers, and build the relationships that create die-hard fans. They help you manage inventory, track payments, view real-time business insights from a single dashboard. And you can sign up for $1 per month trial at shopify.com/crane. All right, that's shopify.com/crane, CRAIN, all lowercase. Let me say this again. That's Shopify, shopify.com/crane to start selling online today. Shopify.com/crane. Hit that button,
Oh,
David.
you want that sound
I
again?
want it.
Ching.
Open up the vault, mama. We rich.
Hey.
Booster Club.
Go to Austin Coons with a $5 donation. The Keen says, going to need some thoughts on AR and the Colts. I may be biased, but I was pleased with the debut. Not great, but not bad. And David, last in the South, shaking my head.
Hey, he played good.
He played.
If that's
Okay.
the floor, then the pick was worth the risk because the ceiling is through the roof.
I don't
this-
think
right?
that's the floor, though. I don't think we've seen the worst of Anthony.
And maybe not, but usually you would see a pretty bad floor in your first.
Yeah, like Bryce Young. I don't think we're going to see Bryce, and I don't think we're going to see Bryce Young make the same mistake twice in a game like he did. And I know we're going to get into the game against the Falcons, where he threw basically the same pick,
Same
to
kid.
the same guy twice, almost on the exact same play, making the same mistake. But here's Anthony Richardson. You got a guy that doesn't have a ton of playing time, right? That doesn't have a ton to go on at Florida, right? You know, got brought along. There was some really good, and there was some bad. I don't think he's going to be able to run as much as what he did in that game, though. You saw at the end.
You saw what Trevor Lawrence came out and said. He's like, look, man, great first week, but you can't keep taking hits.
No,
like that.
you can't.
You're
like,
not going to last.
No,
Yeah.
not
If
not
Cam
even
Newton
close.
can't last, buddy, I don't think there's anybody unless someone builds a robot.
No.
That's the thing is like that's how he has to have success early. So is it use your skill set early in your career and grow into being more of a pocket passer? It's kind of, we talked about this in an All Access not too long ago, where you have a great catcher whose knees are going to wear out, but you still want him to bat, and eventually you transition to first base. Is Anthony Anthony Richardson capable of using his skill set early so he can win ball games and maybe win the division, but develop into more of a pocket passer so he knows where guys are going to be?
I think that's the natural progression. I mean, it is. We talk about decision making, when to throw it, when to throw the ball away, when to throw the check down. Knowing when to go too is another, situation where it's a marathon, not a sprint. Maybe when you can take off and you want to get that extra 4 yards and it's 1st and 10, you just run out of bounds.
Yeah, choose your hits, right?
Yeah, choose your
hits.
hits.
Choose your moments. Learn
hitting.
how to get tackled. I'd rather you sit a couple weeks because of an ankle, right, than to be anything upper body, you getting hit in the head or anything like that. I'll take to Lamar Jackson a couple weeks for you to sit because you tweaked your ankle a little bit, than you running a pass. Unless we're in goal line, but I don't need you lowering your head on 1st and 10 design QB run.
If you got a 5'10", 180-pound corner about to attack you, that's a lot different than one of those other things running around.
Look, he looked good. He did good things. He played better than I thought he would. Another quarterback that surprised me, Jordan Love.
Jordan Love played good.
He looked comfortable.
But the play calling was really good.
The Bears.
They're getting like Aaron Jones had a day, an absolute day. I'm talking about I always know you're in trouble against the Packers. So I'll know in the first couple plays. They turn around and give that stretch to Aaron Jones, and he gets 5+. He gets 5+. You're gonna
that end gets reached.
You're gonna lose
the corner. Yeah,
you're gonna
lose. But he looked comfortable and confident in the pocket. That was a big thing for Jordan.
Yeah, he looked poised. He looked poised. That was going to be one of my worst. One I was wrong about was Jordan Love, but I don't think you can really say that because it's the Bears.
Well, and let's see too.
Yeah,
week 1.
Let's go to James Stallings with a $5 donation. James, thank you, sir. It says, I hate to bring up Brian Harsin again. I'm sure you do. But the fact Eugene Asante was on the scout team last year is criminally offensive.
Well, look, guys miss on guys. My pops didn't offer Zach Thomas because he thought he was too little. But when it's like everything that you're wrong about, like when I see TJ Finley out there balling against Baylor.
I mean,
when I see
you didn't listen to his podcast.
What's the name of it again?
Huddle Up, guys.
There's a better.
Hey, huddle up.
There's a better huddle up.
Suck.
Huddle up. We're terrible. Listen, I don't think Brian Harsin. I think Brian. I don't. He knows schematically what's going on. Like he can put together, I think, a good offensive game plan. Where I think Brian Harsin struggles is with people, and I think he's so set in his ways of what he thinks that he can't adjust. The fact that Eugene Asante was on the scout team, outside of him doing something bad off the field or getting in trouble, really makes me question you going in there and you're like, you know what? No, he's not going to play because you didn't like what he did early.
It almost makes
you don't want to be proven wrong.
Stuff like that makes you question everything.
Yeah.
To me, because it's like you see him every day.
Look, this is what I know.
The coaches had to go up to him and be like, Coach, look, he's ready.
Oh, for sure.
He's ready to go. And you went out of your way to say no.
Yeah, I just look, everything, Brian, I'm just, again, congrats on getting your bag, Brian. I hope everything is well.
Oh, look.
It's not personal, but you just weren't good. You didn't work hard in recruiting. I can't take you serious as a head coach when you come into the SEC and you don't work hard recruiting.
House cat.
And you get House cat. He wanted his milk brought to him.
Let's go to Tim Salinas with the $2 donation. Thank you, Tim. He said, I remember when y'all had the Cowboys 3rd in the division. Tim?
Yeah, Tim.
Man, you want to go?
Hey, what's that thing on the other side of the gas pedal?
Yeah.
You might want to press it.
Yeah. This is what Cowboys fans do, though. This is what they do. You have one good
It's the
week.
whole state of Texas right now.
Here we
oh, my
go.
God.
Let them have their
week. At least the Longhorns have gone. I mean, we've seen Texas a couple times now. I've watched the Cowboys come out and play really good and then just Drew Barrymore from 51st Dates for the other half of the season.
But I think deep down, they know, maybe it is a 1 week thing, and it's you got to take a shot now.
Oh, yeah, you got to get him in.
But 40-0, though?
No, dude.
That defensive line looks
beating of a lifetime.
Micah Parsons is getting to the quarterback without breaking stride.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There's 300-pounders in front of you.
Yeah.
How are you getting to the quarterback?
Not a lot of screen game.
No, can we screen him a little bit?
Where's the screen game?
I'm not questioning.
We didn't run one draw.
They did do one screen, and Saquon caught it with one hand, and it got 0 yards.
60 yards, Saquon Barkley. What a waste.
All right, last one. Then we got to get to
I'll get a couple of good donations real quick. Cole Freak, $2 donation.
Yep.
LeBron is mid, MJ's the GOAT, and the Packers will win the Super Bowl. Cole, I love where your head's at. Sergeant Saggy Nips.
Sergeant what?
Guys, I come on here, and I try to keep
Did
it
you say
straight.
Sergeant Saggy Nips?
Yeah, that's his name.
That's right up there with pants to my tits.
Look, y'all need to
Who
get...
was it?
Y'all need to get in a quarrel. I want to see them two get in a quarrel. $5 donation. Thank you, sir. Good morning to the best sports show ever.
Yup.
Good morning to you, Sergeant. Says, what were your guys' favorite games from week 1 so far?
In the NFL? Obviously, you're talking about week 1. It was week 1.
That's
Let's go
that's a good
NFL.
Yeah, let's
transition.
go NFL recap. It's a great segue.
I mean, Dolphins Chargers.
Got to be Dolphins.
Lived up to the hype.
Yeah.
man.
I'd probably say Rams Seahawks because I've never been more upset to watch a game. I've never seen a team sit on the ball more than the Seahawks.
That was disappointing.
Than the Rams. Seahawks look terrible.
The Seahawks really did look bad. That surprised me. I think the best game we're going to have is tonight, Bills versus the Jets. But one I've seen, really easy to say Dodgers, Chargers. I'm going to go Lions, Chiefs.
Ooh, Dodgers,
Lions,
Chargers.
Chiefs.
Did I say Dodgers,
Dodgers, Chargers. I was like,
That'd be a good
Cards.
matchup.
dude.
Dolphins,
Justin Herbert
Chargers.
played great, but I'm telling you, Kershaw.
Yeah, it's like, wow, that's Alabama's
Kershaw on the
recruiting
mound.
That
strategy.
it lived up to the hype in every way possible. And Tua throwing for over 400 yards. What they're doing with Tyreek right now, the way they're getting him in motion is just so creative. Like it's incredible to watch him play football. But it just makes me. I'm sitting here praying that Tua stays healthy.
I know,
for a full
that's
season.
just-
because it's like that's
Something
what we could
different
get
about
every
Tua this
week.
year.
He did
Got
jiu-jitsu.
his-
got the tattoo
You said
sleeve.
it, man.
Jiu-jitsu, he's got a
Got the
sleeve
tattoo
tab.
sleeve.
You know, he's different right now.
Also, the 49ers are just incredible. And like we've known that their roster's great, but Brock Purdy really does look like the guy who's going to say, hey,
telling you.
no. I'm the guy who's going to come in with this roster full of great NFL players, and I'm going to be the starting quarterback, and we're going to go to the Super Bowl.
You want to know? You want to know why I believe in the Dolphins?
why?
Because they may have the best names at receivers. Let me just take you through these names: Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, Durham Smythe, the tight end, made a couple
White
big
kid,
catches.
He did.
Braxton Berrios,
He made some big plays.
River Craycraft.
River Craycraft.
Scored a touchdown. You got guys running out there named Tyreek, Jalen, Durham, Braxton, River, and
That sounds like a
Alex.
church basketball league.
Yeah.
Or an Alec?
They're good. They got knee braces.
You should be deathly afraid if you're 11 and you go pull up to some random church and there's kids in there with all blonde hair just running past and
That's exactly right. We saw him one time. Our little cousin played like this, private
Presbyterian.
religious school, and all the kids walked in. These kids are like 10 years old. Walked in with all of them had like Duke shirts on, like Duke basketball, and they all had like the same color hair.
Yeah.
And were just passing.
They
They murdered them.
They just sit in the driveway for 8 hours and pass each other the ball.
They
bet.
bounce pass, chest pass, bounce pass, chest pass, overhead, chest pass, bounce pass, layup.
Bundy's.
A couple other things I wrote down. Oh, did you see Bijan's first touchdown?
Yeah.
Do we have the clip of
He's
Bijan's
good.
first touchdown?
Good.
Good.
Run this clip.
Yeah,
real
let's
quick.
run this. He's good.
The first guy is still sliding.
Watch
Yeah.
this.
That's a professional. That's
Yeah.
a professional
Dude,
tackler.
Like
That makes
you were in
lots of
college.
money.
You were in college a couple months ago.
Yeah, no, I watched this. And literally, I did exactly what we just after he scored. First of all, what he did the first guy, his rivals scored, I was like, he's good.
No, yeah, it's like I get it.
Yeah,
You know, everybody's like, you drafted a running back at 7. Then you
Their
watch them
team's
in place,
terrible, but
and you're
he's
like,
good.
well, Desmond Ritter just average. Their team's not very good. I agree with you, but it just protect him early in his career as you put the pieces around him, and then get rid of Desmond Ritter.
Yeah, you got to get rid of Desmond Ritter. I'm sorry.
He literally has
he's not
Ritter
gonna
in
do
his
that.
last name.
We walked into halftime with 30 passing yards. Sit down.
Yeah, sit down.
Sit down.
Bijan, can I get you anything?
Bijan, they got you snow crab in the back.
Yeah.
Sit down.
A few other things I wrote down. Trevor Lawrence and the Jags. The Calvin Ridley connection is going to be there all season.
Dude, I'm
Yeah.
telling
It
you, he
looks
looked
serious.
nice.
Well,
He looks
all
pissed.
the talk out of fall camp, or I saw call it fall camp, but all the talk out of camp about Calvin Ridley balling.
Calvin said he's going to
7 catches
Yeah.
Yeah.
in like the first half. Well, Calvin Ridley said he's going for 1,400.
Yeah.
Tyreek said he's going
for 2,000, and it's never been done before.
Calvin said,
and I believe
Calvin's betting on himself this year.
Yeah. Betting on himself. Zay Flowers.
You got off the bus ready to say that.
Zay Flowers look really good.
I'm telling you, Zay is cold.
Yeah, no. Well, if you watch Boston College last year, like
He's the only reason they ever won a game.
That's exactly right.
It's
Lamar
impossible.
looked really rusty. Like
Yeah, he did.
You were
Mark
always
Andrews.
Mark Andrews hurt, shocked.
Quad Mark.
OBJ looked old.
Couple pass interference.
Couple pass interference, but I mean, OBJ.
But they got better. That's the thing about it. Like, what were they missing? Like, it was literally Mark
they did.
Andrews
I
and Lamar
agree with that.
Jackson. You add Zay Flowers. You add Odell. J.K. Dobbins, man.
Oh, JK.
Man,
I just can't
Come
get
sit with Blaine.
Can't get away from it.
Achilles torn.
Yeah, come here. Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
I wrote a note.
It's like the two guys we talked about. Well,
JK.
talking about three guys
How
not
about
being
that right
able
in?
to stay healthy. J.K. Dobbins, Jimmy Garoppolo, and Tua. And Jimmy and J.K. Dobbins went out early. I mean,
Yeah.
Jimmy came back, but still.
I mean,
It's just, some guys, like, no, we talked about it. It's the final destination theory. That's what it is. Like Carson Wentz.
it's in the stars.
Like, there's like,
well,
there's
Carson Wentz, I thought, kind of sucked.
There's some guys who just twist an ankle. Like, there's some guys who wreck in a ditch and some guys who fall off mountains. Okay? All right? And it happens to be J.K. Dobbins.
So Tua,
when it comes to injury report, like, you're not pulling off in a ditch. You're somewhere in Colorado falling off a mountain.
you didn't sprain a toe. Like, you
No, like,
drive
this
a
was
van with
I
your
say it
feet.
about myself, too. It's like, why couldn't it have been a sprained ankle?
Yeah.
You know, 2 weeks. easy.
Last one quickly. The Patriots looked as bad as I've ever seen a football team in the first quarter of that game. And somehow Bill Belichick, with Tom Brady in attendance, finds a way
I
to
thought you
come
were
back
saying
on the
until Giants
Eagles.
came on.
Until what?
Until the Giants came on.
They looked terrible in the first quarter.
I don't know
They came back and made that competitive.
The Steelers looked awful, too, for a while.
I just think that says more about the 49ers.
I agree with that.
But still, have you ever seen a Steelers team just look pathetic, especially on the defensive side of the ball? I mean, they did not look good at all.
Guys, I'm telling you right now. I'm telling you right now. The 49ers are so good.
They are.
Guys, they're so
They are
like
good.
just watching them, like, you know, it's bad when you feel bad for other NFL teams. Like, I feel when the Steelers snapped the ball, every time they snapped it, I'm in the back of the room just like like Fred Warner's eating something in the corner.
And he dropped a pick that was right to him.
Yeah, I'm sure someone's paying for that
early.
now. Since he dropped
Well,
that.
just Fred Warner's like the zombies and like the Walking Dead. Like, you look back and he's like ripping so many.
They always have some nose who no one knows about, who's 800 pounds.
And they always got some like Polynesian
Some
guy. running
Polynesian
around
guy
with
used to
nickel,
work at Chick-fil-A.
just destroying people.
He's super excited all the time.
So good.
Oh
my! I'm gonna butcher
They're
his last
so
name.
good.
Tua from he's so good.
I hit the guy with the ball.
The Buccaneers, big win at the.
Let's go, Baker! Let's
Big
go,
win.
Baker!
Big
Come on,
win.
baby, in your face, Kirk. In your face.
Kirk Cousins.
In your face.
Like, what a great win for Baker and the Bucs, man.
Who you got tonight? Jets, Bills.
I'm gonna take the Bills.
I'm going Jets.
I'm gonna take the Bills.
A-Raj.
The Jets.
Yeah, at home.
A-Raj. Wilson.
We're gonna go. We got it in our bets. We're gonna hit that too. But we're getting the calls. All right, here in a second. But I do want to let everybody know, as you might know, the Booster Club, everybody involved here at Crane & Company, we're huge friends of Genucel. All right, and don't just take my word for it. You can look at all the testimonials people have, and they're offering you a 70% off deal. They're offering you results on day one, or you get your money back. And look, it's skincare for men and women, right? It's like I always say, if you got their dark spot corrector is incredible. You don't want dark spots, right? What are you and Corella DeVille beefing?
No.
There's not 101 of you running around. So take advantage of Genucel's most popular package, which now includes the dark spot corrector, plus the classic Genucel bags and puffiness treatment and immediate effects. I've already called you Puffy the Vampire Slayer. With
I was
this,
looking in the
David.
mirror like, you're Puffy the Vampire Slayer.
That's
I didn't
exactly,
like it.
yeah, that's Puff the Magic
But
Dragon.
sometimes that's
you're
what
the
you
Magic
need.
Dragon.
You need to say, hey, I need to fix my behavior. And I did. I ordered Genucel with
You
the
did.
code.
And me too. I put it all over my face. That's why you never see anything bad going on here.
There you go.
Except
At 70%
just the way
off.
the way it's shaped. But outside of that, there's no dark spots. There's no liver spots. Keep your liver headed.
What are you saying, Tommy Boy? Does this shirt make me look fat? No. Your face does.
Your face does. Exactly right. It's simple. Go to Genucel.com/booster and start looking years, even decades younger tomorrow. I think Blaine needs to start rubbing it on his Achilles. And say goodbye to darkened liver spots,
You know what?
bags and puffiness under the eyes, crow's feet, That's at genucel.com/booster, GENUCEL.com/booster. David.
All right, one thing before we get to calls. Michigan State head coach Mel Tucker has been suspended without pay following accusations of sexual assault by a prominent sexual assault advocate. I can't make it up.
Yeah, so this is alleged. They're looking into it. They're investigating it, which means they're going to fire him, and it's going to cost him probably $77 million. Which, look, we all know sexual harassment's bad. From what I've seen, they said he called her and was like doing stuff.
She was an honorary captain at the spring game and came and talked to the team about sexual assault.
He tried to allegedly was like, hey, let's hang out. If I wasn't married, could we hang out?
Damn, Mel.
And he admitted to this behavior, but said it was consensual.
And then she said she was on the phone with him, and he was just sexually harassing her and just doing.
And they've known about this. For
so you mean to tell me, look, I don't expect Mel Tucker to be the smartest man alive to cure cancer. I don't expect him to find a way to end carbon emissions, whatever. But I do expect you, if this is true, you mean to tell me you sexually harassed a sexual harassment advocate? Isn't that kind of like being an undercover cop in the mob and then going and telling the mob boss, hey, I'm an undercover cop? What were you thinking?
It's weird, man.
Or did he do it because he knows the Michigan State ship is sinking?
But he's costing himself $90
million. Yeah, $77 million.
Yeah.
All right, excuse me. Let me flip this up.
Yeah, did
Michigan State knew the ship is sinking? All right, so they get Mel out of there.
No, it's too early.
It's
early for that.
No, it's not.
And they watch Noah Kim throw 3 passes, and they're like, "Listen, is that Brenda lady still around?"
Yeah.
No, look. It's
Michigan
obviously
State.
a serious situation.
Some
But
stuff.
David,
Worst part.
tell him the worst part if you're a Michigan fan, though.
Mark D'Antonio.
Here he
Mark
comes.
D'Antonio is coming back.
Here he comes.
not to be the interim coach, but to be an interim associate head coach. Great. You thought the Michigan was just going to blow them out of the water?
Is Marky D coming back to
Michigan's kryptonite, man? Go ahead and take the future on Michigan State in that game. That's how Mark D'Antonio rolls.
Yeah, I can't wait to watch.
And he was great.
Watch y'all kill him
too.
Yeah. All right. Well, calls now.
All right.
Calls now because we got a Pongo alert. Matthew in
Get lined
Arkansas. Matthew, what's going on in Arkansas
Let's
today?
go. Snap it.
What's up, boys? Heartbroken Hog here.
There he is.
Fix that heart of yours.
BYU, y'all are a 10-point favorite. Why do I feel really good about Arkansas in that game?
I don't know, because after these last 2 games, the offensive line, I don't know what the hell is going on. We're playing these nobody schools, and we can't get a push. And Sam Pittman's supposed to be an offensive line guy, so honestly, I'm getting pretty concerned.
I'm concerned.
Well, watching Arkansas, watching them against Kent State. Rocket, what's the status on Rocket right now? Is he coming back this week, or are they saving him for LSU?
I think they're going to hold him out for LSU.
Okay. I obviously having him helps out the offensive line because it changes the way you have to defend them. Look, I didn't expect Arkansas to be the most dominant up front this year on offense or have the most depth on defense, but I think Arkansas's best football is still ahead of them. This would be a good game to get some confidence against a BYU team that I'm still not sold on. I know they ended up playing better against Southern Utah at the end. Sam Houston, they didn't look great. BYU doesn't look overtly physical to me. But yeah, I can understand but I mean, you're looking around the SEC West right now. Who really's got you shaking in your space boots there, Heartbroken Hog?
Yeah, no one. That's the other thing I wanted to bring up is the SEC like the 3rd best conference now? I mean, this might be the worst start to a year the SEC has had since Nick Saban came to the conference.
Well, I still think we're really, really early. But I will say from what I have seen, I think it is a combination of, you look at the Pac-12, I think they're as good as they've been in a while. I think the ACC is as good as they've been in a while. the Big 12, even, in Texas's last year and Oklahoma's last year, we still got to consider them part of the Big 12, is pretty good. I think the Big 10 West isn't very good. Looking at them now, we know what Michigan is. We feel like we know what Michigan is. Ohio State, I think, is gonna turn on. Penn State looks really good. I think this is one of those anomaly years. And when you replace as many quarterbacks as the SEC did, I think the SEC, in comparison to what they've done in the past, is a little bit down. Now, I think the SEC has more room for growth than any other conference because they have better players per capita than any other conference. But yeah, look, I wouldn't say the third best conference right now. I don't think we can make that call yet. But I do think we are looking at a year where the parity from a conference standpoint is higher than it's been in a long time.
Well, look, these other conferences, when you look at these teams like Florida State with a big win and some of these schools, you look at Miami with a big win over Texas A&M. Yeah, of course, they're very proud of those wins because anytime you beat an SEC team, it means a lot. But make no mistake, they want the championship. Until another conference is winning national championships the way the SEC is, then it's hard to criticize what they've been able to build. And let's see throughout the season, because as long as you're still crowning the champ, that's what it is.
Exactly right. That's exactly right. No, it's a good question, Matt.
I love you guys. Y'all have a good one. Congrats on the 100,000. Let's make it.
Thanks,
200
dog.
by the end of the year.
Come on, man.
I love it, man.
Hey, we gotta fix that heart of yours.
Why get 200 billion when you could get 200 million? A million's more than a billion, you idiot. All right, let's get to the next. Matthew, thanks, buddy.
Thanks, man.
Good luck this week.
All right, Angelo in Pennsylvania. Angelo, what's up?
Good morning, guys. Happy Monday.
Happy Monday, brother.
To you.
I did throw a comment in the chat that you guys answered, so you can ignore that. I wasn't sure if it got read yet or not. About my Cowboys, I'm definitely hype. I live in Pennsylvania, as you said, but I'm also pretty close to New York, so I'm just surrounded by enemy territory. So
for sure.
So my question was, I watched a couple games yesterday. I was doing a little bit of red zone, but it looked like at times when the quarterback would get out of the pocket and start running, that defenders were definitely a little more hesitant to go make a play than I've seen in the past. Do we think this is a problem, and how would you guys coach this if you're a defensive coordinator and refs are quick to throw a flag on hitting a quarterback?
It's a great question, and for the most part, you're right. I will say, if you go back and watch the Commanders and the Cardinals, like one of the first plays of that game, Sam Howell got out and got boy tried to take him out of the game. I saw that. I saw Justin Simmons go try and take Jimmy G down early in that game. He got a penalty. Jimmy G had to run over to the tent. But it's so hard now to be physical with the quarterback, Angelo, that I think defensive coordinators, and they're smart to do it, are having to rather say whoa than go. But here's the difference. In college, they throw your ass out of the game. In the NFL, it's a 15-yard penalty. So obviously, it is not a more, I say more controlled game in the NFL because there's more athletes that can control their bodies better, so it's easier to coach it. But with the rules now, I'm not even talking about scrambling when they get out of the pocket. I mean, when you're going to hit a quarterback that's in the pocket now. I mean, I watched, even in college, I watched Notre Dame get called for roughing the passer because the guy's hand just touched the face mask of Brendan Armstrong. So as a defensive coordinator in college, I am definitely having to slow my guys down saying, listen, they will throw you out of the game. Or if you fall down and you're going to try and swipe somebody or you get knocked into a quarterback's legs, it's a 15-yard penalty. So, yeah, I mean, I would coach it a little bit differently in the NFL than I would in college because one gets thrown out and the other one doesn't. But you are definitely going to have guys hold up, go and hit quarterbacks. And sometimes that's good as they're going out of bounds. But other times, if a quarterback's going to take his sweet time, I'm trying to remember what game.
You saw that yesterday. It was Justin Fields.
That's exactly what I was saying.
And I saw it, and I was sitting right next to Darby Lou. It was with Justin Fields yesterday, and you saw he got hit while he was still in bounds and taken off. But because it's bang, bang, and these guys are really fast, it looks like, oh, was he out of bounds or was he in bounds or not? And so it started a scuffle on the sidelines. He was well within bounds. I thought he should have been hit harder because, and that's why it's so weird to watch some of these calls get penalties now. When I was playing, it was just like that was part of the strategy because you want to shake a quarterback up. So by the time it gets to the fourth quarter, he's so beat up, you've gained an advantage.
Well, every time a quarterback gets hit, I'm waiting on a penalty now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just waiting. I'm not even looking like, oh, man, that was a great hit. I'm looking to see if it's a penalty. I was watching, it's not even quarterbacks. I was watching the play of Major Wright, Swamp Kings, when he took out old dude
on the
sidelines. Nowadays, hell, you probably get 5 to 10.
That's a good point. Now it's kind of like if the hit's hard enough, you're waiting for a flag.
Exactly
not where he hits him, not how he hits him.
I thought the NFL did a better job of it yesterday. I didn't see a lot of that in the NFL yesterday.
Yeah.
I think the Justin Fields thing, I don't even think that wasn't the sliding thing. That was just by the sideline.
No, he got hit inbounds.
It was by the Packers.
Anthony Richardson getting hit at the goal line clean.
Yeah, I thought the NFL did a reasonable job, but I do think there's at this point now in college and NFL, there's a gray space. Right, there's an awkward area when it comes to defenders and how you tackle a quarterback. You can't hit him in the face, but consistency what matters to me. I watch games all the time where quarterbacks get hit in the face and don't get called. Roughing the passer it's a judgment call at this point.
Yeah,
and it's not. It's like pass interference. I can't tell you what pass interference is. I can't tell you what roughing the passer is.
Mm-hmm.
Like a guy tackles somebody and somewhat of his body weight lands on him, that's a penalty.
I can't tell you what a foul in college basketball.
Yeah, there's certain gray areas in sports and refereeing and rules that we'll never have an answer to.
Well, there was one early in the game yesterday with the Giants where the Cowboys did hit Daniel Jones as he was kind of sliding. This one was inbounds. Angelo, that one did get called, and I thought that was a fair call. How'd you feel about that one?
Yeah, that was the one that made me think of it because 2 times later in the drive, then it looked like Cowboys defenders were hesitant. And then there was another one in the Eagles game where Jalen Hurts was about 5 yards picking up a first down, and it looked like the defender was going to get there. But that half a second of hesitancy, and Hurts just ran right at him and ended up picking up the first down.
Yeah.
And, so...
Well, it's gamesmanship, right? I mean, we saw Kenny Pickett fake slide in college, but I do like the rule where the quarterback is down where they start the slide.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. That's fair. Appreciate it, Angelo.
Thanks, Angelo.
Thanks, man. All right, Jan, Tumbleweed, 1477 out in Lubbock. Jan, how you feeling right now?
Well, surprisingly better than I thought I would.
Yeah, that makes one of us, Jan.
Texas Tech played tough.
Yeah, they did. And I have to tell you, my sister kept saying, you're unusually calm through this game, but she did not know that I, in my mind, knew that whatever happened, that the sky hook was there waiting for me.
Yeah, that's true.
Up there,
hey, I got to go to the restroom real quick. Let me walk to the top of the building. Hey, there's Skyhook.
Oh,
why are the Crane and Company guys hanging out with Morgan Freeman?
Exactly. But I have a couple of things to say. Of course, I think we got a really bad call on that interception in the end zone. But, we can argue about that all night because I don't think it would have. I can't sit here and say, oh, that would have made the difference and we would have won. I'm a little kinder toward Tyler this week than I was last week. But at the same time, I have a question about that last play when he did a pass, when he threw the ball and right into Oregon's hands. Should they have tried to run? I've never played football. You may find that surprising. I just wondered about that call because I thought, oh man.
Well,
could we have possibly, got down and.
I'm trying to remember the timeout situation. I believe it was under a minute, but you had so much success, throwing the ball against Oregon. Tyler was improvising, keeping his eyes down the field, and just with that amount of time on the game, I can understand, obviously throwing the ball. Could you have gotten away with a run because it was under 2 minutes and the clock does stop in college now, only under 2 minutes going into the half and 2 minutes in the fourth quarter? Yeah, the one that killed the Texas Tech, the ones that killed you are the turnovers earlier in the game. When y'all were going back and forth, you had the pick six, obviously, the one we're talking about here at the end. But it's the turnovers earlier in the game that hurt you, especially when you had that 9-point lead. Gah!
Yeah.
I was feeling like gold. I was feeling like gold when they had the 9-point lead. I was like, man, I'm gonna hit the Texas bet and the Texas Tech bet. To pick.
Oh, you'd have been a problem.
Yeah, I'd have been an absolute problem. But Jan still got the Big 12 season in front of you, a long way to go, and they're somewhat healthy.
Oh yeah, I'm very optimistic. I mean, it was a shootout, which is what I was hoping for, and I was really glad about that.
Well, you know what the best type of mystic is? An optimistic.
There you go. Appreciate it, Jan.
Well,
Thanks, Jan. Support local sports.
You bet.
Talk to you next week.
Love you, Jan.
We love you. You know that Skyhook. Let us know.
All right, Josh in North Carolina. Josh, how you feeling this week?
Uh-oh.
Hey, it's Maltar here.
What's up, bud?
Hey, before I get started, I just wanted to say, it's 9/11, and even though I don't remember it much because I was 2 years old, I just wanted to say my heart still goes out to people affected by 9/11. You will always be remembered.
For sure. Without a doubt. Thank you for saying that.
Yeah, no problem. And now back to my main point. Joe Milton is who I thought what he was. I tried convincing myself with the Orange Bowl game, and he's mid. Think we need to throw in the freshman quarterback. I told Jake this, and Jake shut me down a month or so ago. I told him Nico needs to go in there. It's
disgusting.
Over. The whole experiment.
You've been advocating for Joe Milton this whole summer.
Wait. I'm the one who's been like, Joe Milton's got to prove it to me, Voltar. I don't know what you're talking about. Listen, I mean, yeah, it's amazing. You know, Joe Milton. And look, I hope he somehow finds a way to figure out. But like, this who this man is.
And mid's not the term I would use. I would use inconsistent because you get excellence at times.
Yes,
that's what makes
a lot like Jalen Milroe. Like it's a lot like Jalen Milroe. Yeah. Sometimes Jalen Milroe makes plays and you're like, oh my
there it is.
God,
that's
like
it.
I get it, and then you make plays, you're like, I don't get it. Why I don't get it. So like, I just don't think Joe. I'll give you a great example. That absolute moon balloon that Quinn threw, the lollipop touchdown pass. Joe Milton's throwing that one in the third row of the stands in T-Town. It's not, and it's not the whole shot versus cover two are just throwing a seed in there across the middle on a basic or a dig that I worry about with Joe Milton. It's the nuanced throws. That's why it's called passing, right? That's because there's nuance to it. It's not. You're not just a thrower. Hey, he plays throwing back. No, that's not what it is. This isn't the javelin or discus where you see how far you can throw it. This is football.
Voltar, trust me, as a guy who's been calling Joe Milton mid for years, I agree. But the thing about it is, like, you want, when it comes to a quarterback, like you want a starter, all right? Like it's like in pitching in baseball. You want a guy go out there who can throw 6 innings, you know, who can hit his spots. You know, who can throw that 2-2 slider on the outside corner and hit a spot and get a K. You don't want a closer, all right? Joe Milton's a closer. Joe Milton's a guy who comes in there for one inning, all right, throws it 102 miles per hour, gets the win, and gets out. That's not what you want. Joe can't hit his spots. He's not Hendon Hooker. Hendon Hooker's a starter. A guy, when it's in the 4th inning, can hit a sinker 3-2 with a runner on first and second and 2 outs to get out of it. Joe's not doing that. Joe's just trying to take the glove off the catcher's hand. That's what Joe's doing. He's a closer, not a starter. You need a starter.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%.
Okay, I got 2 more quick things. The UNC game. Why do we keep scheduling App State?
No, never again.
I knew it.
They always do this to us. And when I was watching that game, you know how Blaine makes that throwing up sound? That's how I felt the whole game. Just throwing up.
That's how it was. That's the sound I made when I watched South Carolina pass set for 4 quarters. Like, is South Carolina like that? Is South Carolina that bad?
I'm sitting here telling you,
they that bad. App State dropped a 40 burger on them.
They do this to teams all the time.
But well, it's like send them back. If I'm Matt Brown, I'm like, let them go back up the mountains. Don't call them again. Like, I'm going athletic director. Don't call them again. If they forgot something, don't answer it. It's like the creditor that you owe money to. Like when they call, you're just not answering the phone. So that's, hold on, honey, we're getting a call. Oh, it's from App State, we're not getting a call.
Yeah, answer it with a different language.
Right.
Yeah,
and
answer in Korean.
Also, Blaine and David, one last thing. I'm now 2-0 on my picks. I picked the Texas Longhorns. I picked them by a touchdown, but they beat them by 10. So, I mean, I guess they're better than what I thought they were. But again, egg on your face. Do better.
Flex on them.
Oh, that's fine. Hey, I mean,
the first one you miss, I'm calling your house. I'm calling your house. Get ready.
That's hilarious.
Don't worry, he's got your number.
Yeah. Guess what? Hey, guess what? It's App State.
David's the cable guy. He's got your number, dude.
With that mustache,
That's exactly right.
You don't think I know your background?
He's not there to fix the cable.
Look at my face.
Baltar, look out the window.
Yeah, I've known your social for years.
Blaine's like Pennywise. He's just out there in the gutter waiting for you to just put a little paper boat down the street.
All right, appreciate it, Josh.
Look, David, you can't take me to Rainbow Land. I'm not going. All right?
You can't take him, David.
He won't go. Just stop talking.
Hey, you're already there, buddy.
Yeah.
You're there.
I love it.
All right. Thanks, man. All right. So for tomorrow, we're going to take call-ins again tomorrow. We're going to take call-ins every day. So Andrew's still on the line. Steve's still on the line. Everyone else, call in tomorrow. You'll be first to go.
Say Pongo. Pongo alert. All right. I'm heading over because we get to bet football again tonight. We got Thursday games in college football too, so I only got to go 2 more days.
When does the NFL start Thursdays?
The NFL? They already played on Thursday.
They already played on
last Thursday.
It was the opener.
So we got the Chiefs Lions, remember?
Hey, I don't want to hear nothing.
Stop robbing the city of
the Giants.
Good
got
God.
mopped by 40.
Stop robbing Detroit of a big win.
Blaine's like 10-second Tom. Hi, I'm Tom. Hi, I'm Tom. All right, remember our booster bets, Booster Club bets, are brought to you by DraftKings. So that's more fun when you're in on the action. Just ask Sylvester Stallone or Bruce Willis. Now you can download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use our code BOOSTER. That's BOOSTER, or backwards, RETSOOB, RETSOOB. New customers can score $200 in bonus bets instantly when they bet just $5 on NFL football. That's only at DraftKings Sportsbook with code BOOSTER. The crown is yours. Here's what I got tonight. We got Aaron Rodgers on my fantasy team. After what the Cowboys... Give me a second. I'm just trying not to get upset.
Are you emotional?
I'm emotional. The Cowboys defense scored 40 points.
Yeah.
Yesterday.
Yeah. I was playing against them in the league, too.
Disgusting. I'm going the Jets plus 3.5 tonight. All right? Just like when I get on a plane, I want to play it safe. So give me the Jets plus 3.5. That's at minus 160. Then I'm going Jets, Bills, under 45.5. That's at minus 110. Total even weekend in betting. I'll take it.
Oh, you want mine?
I guess.
Yeah, I was playing against the Cowboys in one league, too. But I'm going to take the Bills money line, minus 130. And then the largest lead of the game, under 13.5, plus 100.
How is this plus 100?
Plus 100. So
how is that? What do they know what does Robert De Niro and them know out there?
I don't know. Maybe it's just because of the 2-touchdown hook. Maybe 14.5 would be like minus 190 or something. I don't know, but plus 100.
God, I think
all right, this is what I got. I'm up 99 to 76 in fantasy.
Okay.
All right. He's got Stephon Diggs in the Jets defense.
What do you got?
I got nothing.
Nothing.
So
you have a lead. You have a lead. That's what you have.
You're up 23.
With Stephon Diggs. PPR and his defense.
Starting with 10.
Okay.
So I need mediocre performances out of both these.
Or you just need one to ball and the other not.
So this is what I'm going to do to hedge that. All right? Stephon Diggs anytime touch.
There we go. There he is.
I love this. This is true degeneracy.
And then Jets defense anytime touchdown.
Wow. That's it. So the Jets D anytime touchdowns plus 650.
Either I go 0-2 and I'm stoked, or I go 2-0. I'm hurt.
There you go.
Okay.
I'm hurt, but there's some happiness there too.
I love
it.
So what would you rather do? Would you rather hit your picks?
I want to win fantasy.
I want to win fantasy.
I need to win something.
I respect it.
All right, donations.
Yup.
Let's go to Gibby the Great with the $5 donation. That's a great donation. Thank you. So did you guys see that kid throw 3 interceptions for the tie? Oh, wait. It was just Ryan Tannehill.
Again, I mean, how many times am I going to sit here and tell you? But it wasn't just the picks. Ryan Tannehill missed wide open guys the whole night.
It's huge.
He can't play.
Look, we're going to shake that off. We're going to be fine in the division. All right, I don't care how good the Jags looked. I don't care about Anthony Richardson coming out looking good early.
Is this one of your
hometown team? Titans are going to be good. Vrabel, I got you.
It's like your love with Ryan Tannehill is like
my love of Ryan Tannehill. I said I bonded with Vrabel.
Oh, okay. It just reminds me of that scene on Austin Powers when he's with, Fat B Word, and he's like, and Fat B Word's like, I eat because I'm unhappy. And I'm unhappy because I eat.
Yes, you're talking. That's
exactly
right.
what it's
All
like.
right? Fat B word. I
Real
love
deli
it.
meat situation. Let's go to King Don Sobek. $2 donation. Shout out to my bro Sam. Got a pick in his first game. Sam.
There you go, Sammy.
I'm gonna live it up, Sandy.
Keep making plays.
All right, Daniel Denny with the 99-cent donation. Thank you for donation. I don't see anything under it. Maybe I can find it here in a little bit. Let's go to Motorman 213, $5 donation. Thank you, brother. I'm unable to watch the show live due to work, so apologies if you already addressed this. Is Colorado the most overrated team in the top 25? Hashtag go blue.
Go blue. It's hard to say that right now, man.
So know what they proved you to be overrated.
I wouldn't say overrated is the right term. I think maybe overhyped a little bit. Not saying what Deion and them have done has been incredibly impressive, but I don't know. Hey, top 25.
Yeah,
you got to pull it up right here.
now, yeah.
Can you read just 25 through 20 in descending order, please?
25 through 20.
In Japanese.
If you mess this up.
All right, 20, North Carolina. Duke, 21.
That's not what you wanted.
Miami, 22. Washington State, 23. UCLA, 24. Iowa, 25.
Where's Colorado at?
Colorado's 18.
Yeah, buddy.
Oklahoma, 19. Colorado jumped Oklahoma. Now I have a lot of questions.
Yeah, I'm
I have a lot of
gonna
questions.
say not overrated because they've absolutely exceeded expectation. Overhyped, yeah. I'm taking Oklahoma, I'm taking North Carolina, I'm taking Duke, I'm taking every team maybe but Iowa just because, I mean.
They have Alabama 10, Tennessee 11, Utah 12, Oregon 13, LSU 14, Kansas State 15, Oregon State 16, Ole Miss 17, and then Colorado.
I think Colorado should be receiving.
I feel like all those teams you just said, like, it'd be a pick'em game.
Really, against Colorado?
Yeah.
I
Like
think
spread, or you think that would actually be like a...
I think
Like
Oklahoma-
spread-wise, it'd be close.
I'm talking
think
about like what would actually
Oklahoma-
happen, though.
I think Oklahoma would embarrass Colorado.
I think they
I
would,
don't.
too.
What would make you say that?
Because I think Oklahoma's a lot better than TCU and
ability
Nebraska.
to watch football and see
I don't.
how
I
bad
think
TCU was.
I think
on one side
both
of the
will have
ball and
extremely good
Nebraska was on the
offenses
other
and
side of the
both
ball.
have mediocre defenses. That's what I think.
Well, I think you're wrong.
I don't know. I think so.
All right, let's get to let's.
Well, the good thing is we'll get a chance to see him play. How many teams up there ahead of him? Oregon.
Oh,
Oregon's up there.
We're gonna
USC,
find out.
Washington.
All this Colorado's the greatest thing since sliced bread. We're about to find out real quick.
Not the greatest thing since sliced bread, but winning more than one game.
Since sliced deli meat.
I mean, winning more than one game, yeah. Let's go to Angelo DeRaymond with a $10 donation. Thank you, Angelo. Happy Monday, fellas. Happy Monday to you. Do either of the two that picked the Giants to finish over the Cowboys in the East want to change your picks? I know it's week 1, but let's have our moment.
Nope.
That's to y'all, too.
I'm not changing anything.
I won't change mine. I mean, I still have the Eagles winning the division. But
Yeah, I'm not changing mine.
Did you have the Eagles winning?
I'm not leaving.
Yeah.
I'm not leaving.
They did look good.
Yeah, the Eagles winning.
Let's go to Reggie Reg, $5 donation. Appreciate it, Reggie. Shout out Dion.
Y'all.
Not bad for a hypocritical snake oil salesman with the worst roster in college football.
Look what he flipped. I mean,
Rude.
can we really say he has the worst roster in college football? I think he inherited one of the worst rosters in college football. And our buddy, we love Tom Luganbill, and look, I got him winning 3 games, I believe. So I mean, I can't sit here and talk,
Yeah.
but we'll see. There's just let the
incredible.
flower grow a little bit
Yeah.
in this season.
But, I mean, way to get off to a hot start, man.
Yeah, game day's coming there this weekend.
Yeah.
They're gonna murder Colorado State.
They're not making mistakes either. And in that TCU game especially, they just wanted it more, which that, like I said, that starts with coaching.
Yeah.
Quickly. Malcolm Martin, $5 donation. Thank you, Malcolm. Just a reminder that Elon killed Twitter. And what percent chance do you give Florida to take down Tennessee in the swamp? I give them 25%
You'll
chance.
see. We're gonna get to
Go
that this
Gators.
week.
Ride highs. $2 donation. Does David's hair use him as a host? Hashtag hair.
Great question.
Yeah, I guess.
Peter Young, $2 donation. Texas fan here, eating copious amounts of crow. Good for you. I mean, live it up while you can. All right, let's go to the poll. Yes, I know. Thank you. Who wins tonight? The Jets or the Bills?
Jets,
Stop,
53%,
Bills.
David.
I'll take. Oh, that was the poll? I'll take Bills.
Yes.
I'll take the Bills.
Jets.
Jets, 53%.
Bills.
Yeah.
Jets. 46%.
Wow.
Bills, a dirty 54.
Sold the bag. Appreciate it, guys. Make sure you subscribe. Follow us on all social media if you're watching on X, Daily Wire as well. Appreciate you guys in the DW chat. It's great week of football coming. Enjoy the Jets Bills tonight. We're going to be live tomorrow taking calls with big-time guests. You know where to find us. 6:30 a.m. Central, 7:30 a.m. Eastern. Those are only 2 time zones I know, so outside of that, y'all can figure it out. But like the chances of the Giants going undefeated, we're going, gone.